everyone. Well, today we are talking to someone who has lots of knowledge in both Minnesota and Wisconsin. They are located in Hudson, Wisconsin. My friend Jill. Jill, how are you today?
Hi, I'm good. How are you today, Jennifer?
Good. And I knew you were the expert in both states, so wanted to talk with you and just learn a little more about the area you serve and if you would just tell people, you've been in real estate a long time. Tell people
Yeah,
how you got into real estate and just some things about you.
sure. Yeah, well, I've been in real estate 18 years and I just am celebrating my 18th year, which I can't even believe
Oh.
it actually. But yeah, I pretty much got my Minnesota and Wisconsin license at the same time because of where we're located. We talked a little bit about that. My town that I live in, Hudson, Wisconsin, is sort of a bedroom community of St. Paul, Minnesota. So it's 17 miles from Hudson, Wisconsin to the St. Paul area. So it's really important for realtors that are practicing in my area to be dual licensed in both
Mhm.
states. I got into the business. I come from a family of realtors. My father was a realtor. Oh my gosh, like when I was a kid, like little kid. So I really don't remember the days of him showing homes or anything because he actually only sold for a couple years and then Century 21 was franchising, bringing franchises to the Midwest, and he ended up purchasing Century 21 hired him to build out their franchises in the Midwest. So I remember his journey through real estate being more of a leadership role
Mhm.
than actually selling homes. But, real estate was a big part of my upbringing. And then my sister is a realtor. My son is a realtor. He's actually my business partner. My husband is on my team. So
Oh.
it's in my blood, I guess. Yeah, I was destined for a career in real estate. Yeah. So,
Yes, yes, you were. Gosh, it's a family affair, and that's so awesome. I love that.
yep,
So you grew up around real estate. Obviously, you've been in it 18 plus years, which is awesome.
yep,
Well, so when we think of, you're kind of right there on the Wisconsin, Minnesota line. So, like you said, it's a suburb, maybe a bedroom community of St. Paul.
yep.
So tell us about Hudson in general. What is it like? Of course, it is a suburb, but what kind of things are there to do?
Oh my gosh. If you're looking for a place like what I love about Hudson, it's like we have the cute little main street with all the little
Mhm.
shops and restaurants. The population here is, if you include the whole, area of Hudson, like town of Hudson, North Hudson, all of that, it's probably between 35,000. So it's relatively small. But we're 5 or 8 minutes away from Woodbury, Minnesota, which has all of the big box stores, everything that we would need. So what I love about Hudson is it has that really like small town charm with the conveniences of anything you might need very close by. It's we have the river right here, so you can get on a riverboat and have a dinner cruise. It's in the fall, it's beautiful here.
Oh.
Um, you know, Boating is huge. Like we have a marina, people keep their boats at the marina. You can get a slip. Um, oh my gosh, we have parks, state parks that you can hike in. Honestly, it's one of the best places ever to live. I have been here. I grew up in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, in the Twin Cities, and we moved here in 1998, and I was a big city girl, and I always joked with my husband because he wanted to move here forever. And I
Oh.
just said, they don't even have a Target yet. I need to be like near. the conveniences
Hmm.
of,
Hmm.
big city, because I was kind of grew up in the big city. And
Hmm.
so we moved here the year we got our Target store. That they
Oh,
started breaking ground on Target, and we put our house in Minnesota up for sale. And next thing I know, I'm living in Hudson, and so we've been here since '98, and it was a fantastic place to raise our kids. And I just love it. And being a realtor here, it really, starting in real estate in 2008, it was really a rough time. Most agents were
mm,
actually leaving the business.
sure.
So starting in a small community really gave me sort of a jump start on growing market share quickly, because I was able to, get really engrossed in the community through building my vendor guide and my networking group. And through that, I was able to, they say the realtor, you want to be the mayor of your town. Everybody should know who you are and
Hmm.
what you do. Thankfully, I feel like I've been able to do that pretty well, just being in, a small town here in Hudson. So,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know
And
if that
I,
answered your question. I
oh,
kind
yes. Yes, I do know you're very big in your community, and we'll talk about that. So, okay, it sounds like you live kind of in a quaint, nice Gilmore Girls setting where they have a little
Yes,
town,
yes.
which I love. And of
Hmm.
course, I see your hesitation because I'm not moving anywhere that doesn't have the conveniences of life. I'm sorry.
I
So
know. You get
that
spoiled.
makes Yes, you do. That makes sense. Well, then let's talk about, the surrounding areas as well, because what type of industry is in your area, or what brings people, besides being a suburb, what brings people to your area and even those surrounding areas that you serve? Like, are there any certain industries maybe or companies
Well,
that, you know?
yeah, we do have some bigger companies that, employ people, and a lot of like Uline. I'm trying to think how many years it's been now.
Oh,
It's probably been 3 or 4 years, or maybe even probably more. But they opened their headquarters here.
oh,
So we have them there. I don't know if you're familiar with Uline at all, but
mhm.
they're actually just in the industrial park, which is about 5 minutes from where my office is. Cardinal Health is another big one. But I wouldn't say, in on the Wisconsin side, in my small community, those are probably like two of the
Mhm.
biggest companies. But then, getting closer to, if you cross the river into Minnesota, there's like 3M and Honeywell and all of them. But interestingly enough, we get so many clients that are moving from Minnesota over into, because they want to be in Wisconsin.
Hmm.
So it's kind of one of those things that I think people are craving small community.
Hmm.
And, when they're living in, the Twin Cities, it's the hustle and the bustle, and everything's kind of, becoming very populated. And so I think there's more people that kind of want that small town feel of a place like Hudson that's, a little more chill.
Hmm. Yes, that
So,
makes a lot of sense.
mhm.
Okay.
So
Well, so
a
people
big
are,
portion, well, sorry to interrupt you, but a big portion of my business is agent referrals from agents in
mm,
Minnesota who are not licensed in Wisconsin, who have clients that are
mm.
migrating over to be living in Wisconsin. So I kind of noticed early on in my real estate career that that was a thing. And so I purposely started seeking out building relationships with agents, into Minnesota, who I knew would not be licensed in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, that is so smart because yeah, if you see that pattern where people are working in the city but want to, even if they are, living and working there, they want to move to the suburbs. And it's so interesting because you're just so close to the state line. Not everyone
Yeah.
has, that opportunity. So as far as Minnesota and Wisconsin go, are there any tax differences? Because, they're moving across the state line, maybe because, this suburb is so amazing, but are there any differences in property taxes or state
Yeah.
taxes that? Mhm.
Actually, interestingly enough, Wisconsin's a little bit higher than Minnesota, which is kind of
Oh.
weird. You'd think it would be the other way around, but I don't know why that is. So yeah, it that does affect it too. It could be, part of just government differences too or something. But yeah, it definitely is something to always talk to people about.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
they probably charge more in Wisconsin because it's a cheese tax. Listen,
Yeah, there
listen,
you go.
listen.
Yeah, yeah,
It's funny
exactly.
because when I think of Culver's, we're going there later today. I'm like, you know what? I think of Wisconsin because here in Indianapolis, we have Culver's and gosh, we love cheese just as much as you guys.
Yeah.
So listen.
Yeah, cheese is big in Wisconsin for sure.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the real estate market in your area. What is it like right now? What are you seeing?
Well, what we're seeing right now, I would still say, I've been through a lot of real estate cycles in my career. And, honestly, the last few years, I mean, it's been an interesting kind of rough market. Right now we're at about our average sale price is just under 400,000, so like
Hmm.
396. Um, we're still like in the county that I mostly serve, which is St. Croix County. We have like 3 months of inventory. So
Hmm.
it's still really a seller's market. We're seeing some multiple offers still, of course, depending on how you're pricing the house. But yeah, it can be, there's little pockets where it can still be really challenging. You know, we actually are interestingly enough, working with one buyer that's buying on the Minnesota side. And over there, she's qualified up to 400, but she's a single gal and she wants to have a home inspection. She's written like
Hmm.
5 offers and she goes over by like 40,000 on all of them and we're still not winning them. So I kind of
Wow.
think that, that is probably because we're asking for a home inspection. But
Oh, wow.
you know, I don't ever want to encourage a buyer. I feel like my job as an agent is to say, okay, here's why I think we're not getting them, but I
Hmm.
don't want to ever recommend you buy a house without a home inspection. But I
Mm-mm.
also have to tell you, it might be the only way you're going to get a house right now. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Hmm.
and again, it kind of depends on like what pocket you're buying in, but it is, I mean, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. And we are seeing some multiple offers, but the days of getting like 10 offers or 6 offers, like that's pretty much quieted down a little bit. So,
Okay.
and we're at about 40 days on market. So things are still moving relatively quickly here.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So price point right under median price, right under 400,000 around that. Does
Mhm.
that make it, with the economy there and how people, how much money people make, is that challenging for first time buyers? Is that price point
Yes.
sometimes challenging? Because that's a little higher.
Yes.
Indianapolis, our price point is 260. So,
Okay. Yeah, no,
mhm.
it is, it's definitely, I feel like it's definitely challenging for first time home buyers. Yeah. Because
Sure.
you think like I mean I think back to when I started in real estate, which is almost 20 years ago, but you could get a townhouse for 125,000. That same townhouse today is over 300,000,
Mhm.
So it's pretty weird. It's definitely challenging, making it challenging.
Um, Well, and since you are in the suburbs, if you will, if a first-time home buyer wanted a home, are they kind of looking even further out in some of those?
Yeah. Yep.
outlying suburb?
So we're in a very rural area where we were talking a little bit, chatting before we started the recording here, but you know, some of our listing appointments that we go on are like it's not uncommon for me to drive an hour to a listing appointment. It's just the way it is here. And, again, talking about buyers, if they want more house for their money, or if they need to have a lower purchase point, sometimes we just say like we're gonna need to travel a little more distance to get into some of those, other areas if you want that type of house, for the amount that you can afford, for
That
sure.
makes sense. That makes
Hmm.
sense. Okay, so what if someone was, thinking about, Wisconsin or even Minnesota, and they were thinking, are there good opportunities to invest? I'm wondering, because I know you have hospitals around, you have colleges and things. Are there opportunities for people who live out of state to either, invest so they could have maybe a rental property, or do you see people coming to your area since there's lots of outdoor activities, lakes and things, maybe purchasing, investing in a second home?
Yeah, well, okay, so mostly the areas that people are buying second homes are like up in northern Wisconsin a little
Okay.
ways, like even like an hour from where we are north. And we
Mhm.
do serve those areas as well. Mostly what we see are if people are going to like migrate here to purchase a second home, it's it's less likely to be like in the Hudson area
Mm.
and more likely to be like up in the northern part of Wisconsin, which would be like an hour from here because that's where all the lakes are. I mean, there's tons and tons of like beautiful lakes and things to do up north, and that's where people are usually when they're looking for something right on a lake. We only have one lake right in Hudson, and that lake is Lake Malibu. It's really, people usually when they purchase something on Lake Malibu, they stay for a while because, it's the only lake that we have that's right in Hudson.
Sure.
Yeah, but there is a lot of investment property. Some people even are doing the Airbnb thing where they're buying,
Hmm.
properties up on lakes and then they're using them as Airbnb properties. We're seeing more of that happening.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, what about another population? We were talking a little bit about this, but people who are wanting to downsize, in your area, I'm sure there's lots of people who have become empty nesters, or, maybe they want to downsize to a smaller home, maybe a ranch. Are you seeing a lot of people that are wanting to downsize right now? And where are they staying in the area? Are they going out a little further? What are you seeing?
Well, yeah, so I know we were talking a little bit before the call, but I just recently have had like three or four clients who were elderly who were, when you say downsizing, they were downsizing, but they were moving into assisted living. So I've had a lot more of that recently. And then yeah, there are a lot of people who are looking for like ramblers with a finished basement,
Mm.
and we could always use more ramblers, more walkout ramblers for sure. People, that's like a desirable thing that people are always looking for. They want that one level living. But I think what our area really is short on is all one level living that would be
Mhm.
suitable for someone who doesn't really want a single family home. There
Mhm.
are elderly people who don't want to have the work that it takes to take care of an entire single family home with a yard and
Mhm.
all of that. They want to be in a development with an HOA where someone's doing the snow plowing, someone's doing the lawn maintenance, all of that. That we just don't have enough of that. There's just,
Mhm.
there's yeah. the when those come up for sale, like those are the ones that are usually getting multiple offers.
In
Yeah.
Indianapolis, we talked about this, but we're building a lot of patio homes, low maintenance, 55
Hmm.
and up, right, where they're not going to have to worry about the yard or the snow or the landscaping or whatever. And they are one single level living, which is great. And so hopefully all around the United States, we'll start, building more of those because it's definitely a great need, I think.
Right.
So I wanted to talk about you and your team a little bit. So I know you have a team in your area in Hudson, and there's a lot of things that you do in your area. I kind of want you to talk about it. So, you basically have a large group, and actually, you are training and helping other realtors all over the United States. You have a group where you are teaching, and so you're not just a realtor, you're teacher. And so tell us, you have a nice women's group in your community where you
Yep.
invite business owners. Can you tell us just about some of these
Sure.
things that you do?
Yeah. Well, I knew in 2008 when I got into the real estate business that my phone wasn't just magically gonna ring. So I started this thing called St. Croix Valley Girls. It's a networking group that meets once a month, and I really was thinking about it in the way that I needed to have, I started as a single agent. Obviously, I didn't have a team. And so I thought, what is the best way to provide value to people in a way where they'll want to give me their contact information
Mhm.
without me having to like ask for it and ask for referrals? I'm not a really like my personality is not pushy. Like I want to attract business versus
Mhm.
chase it. So St. Croix
Mhm.
Valley Girls really was my way of doing that. And I created a little postcard and I started walking the pavement down on Main Street to all the retail store owners and the key for me was talking about it like I had it when it was just a vision in my mind. And
Mhm.
I teach now to other realtors that I'm coaching. It's like you have to walk with your vision as if you already own it and with that level of confidence. And I think that is what I think enabled me to grow my group so quickly. But now, that's one of my top sources of business. We still,
Um,
18 years later, I still have it. We have a guest speaker that comes and speaks every month. We have a local caterer come and make the food. Um, and it's really for women business owners because I wanted to try to add value to them and lift them up and just be a resource if they're having trouble with their business and they need someone to talk to. As a group, we do that, that we support each other in that way. And that's kind of how it all started. And it's just something that has been a really great tool for me in building my business and being really active in the local community too, so.
yes, yes. And you
Mhm.
have this large Facebook group as well, where there are agents from all over the country, and you do trainings and you encourage
Yep.
people every day. How did that start? Was it similar?
Well, that started about 3 years ago. I started thinking about, I was the productivity coach at the time
Mhm.
in my market center in my office. And so I was already coaching agents in my office and I was loving it. It was like um, I just felt like helping others has always been a passion of mine. That's why I started St. Croix Valley Girls. And when I was coaching, I'm I already have the content. I love teaching. I love coaching. I love helping agents. And Lord knows I've made a lot of mistakes over my 18 years. So I just started thinking, if I can help the agents in my office, you know, Facebook allows us to be like a global economy. And I thought, I'm just going to start giving back to agents, that I meet online. And so I started this group, Real Estate Ramp Up. And once I started getting people in there, it's like, oh my gosh, like it just fills my cup to be able to go in there and teach something and share, like, here's how I built my networking group. Here's how I created my vendor guide. Here's how I find the people I do my local dish interviews with. Like, I know you guys aren't my competition because like you're in Indianapolis. So
Yeah.
if there's something that I'm doing in Wisconsin that can help you get more business in Indianapolis, like I want to share that with you. And so anyway, from there, just like actually only probably a month ago, I launched a group coaching program for agents that are in that group that, I just noticed as I was giving and sharing, people were reaching out to me going like, "Hey, do you have a coaching program?" I discovered like there was a need for it. And so I'm like, well, yeah, I think I could do that. So like I said, that's something that I just sort of in the beginning stages of launching. But yeah, it just sort of was born out of my love for sharing and teaching.
I love that.
Mhm.
What I found when I've talked to agents is one, for the most part, one common theme that we love helping people. That's why we're doing this.
Yes.
We love, serving people. You love
Hmm.
teaching people. And I just think that's so amazing. And I think it's something people need to understand, as realtors, yes, we sell houses, but we can connect you with all sorts of people. We're connected and we can connect you with vendors, we can connect you with services, we can connect you with other agents across the country,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And I just am so thankful that I was able to talk with you. Like, you're
Yeah.
so successful. You're the mayor, like you said, of
Uh,
your town. And so if anyone's watching this video and they want more information, whether it be in the Minnesota side, the Wisconsin side, Hudson, you are the expert. And if you want to reach out to Jill, just contact me. I'll give you her information. We'll put the information below also. But I'm just so thankful I was able to talk with you. I know you're busy, but thank you
yeah.
so much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And we're so happy we got to learn about your area. So I hope you have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks, Jennifer. Take care.
Thanks. Bye bye.